Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really plunging headfirst into a pretty fascinating collection of insights. They're all centered on personal and planetary transformation. Our sources, they range from, profound spiritual guidance and really personal reflections to even some, surprising scientific observations.
It's quite a mix, isn't it? And what's so compelling, I think, is how they connect the micro, like your own inner world with the macro, these huge universal cycles.
Exactly. It's a rich tapestry. And our mission today really is to pull out the most important nuggets.
Right.
We want to help you become truly well-informed about this pivotal period of inner illumination and global shift.
Yeah, distilling those connections, helping you navigate these shifts with hopefully some clarity and maybe, like you said, a few aha moments along the way.
Absolutely. We want to go beyond just the surface. We really aim to unpack these messages about inner evolution, the complex dance of the ego, and this idea of the planet being ready for a new era. Ultimately, it's about giving you the insights to navigate this transformative time, not just watch it happen.
Right.
So let's start with something that seems to run through a lot of the personal reflections in our sources. This feeling of impact, confusion, even some deep internal turmoil.
Yeah, like the ground shifting underfoot.
Exactly. The sources mention this as a specific period of internal processing. Can you clarify that for us? It's not just some random date, is it like until September or something?
No, not at all. That's key. It's much more like a flow, a kind of timeline described as spanning roughly 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Almost like a semester, you could say, of intense internal work. And the sources explain this within the bigger picture of universal cycles. For instance, this current year is specifically called out as year 9.
A year 9, what does that signify?
Well, in many cyclical systems, a 9 signifies a closing, a completion. It's often a time of culmination where things that have been building up finally reach a head,
Okay, interesting. So let's unpack this grander scale of cycles then. When the sources talk about living through these huge patterns, even referencing things like an 18,000-year return to the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
What's the actual impact? What does it mean for us right now being on this last turn of a major cycle?
Well, what's really profound about being on this last turn, according to the sources, isn't just that it's an ending, it's also a unique acceleration.
Acceleration, yeah.
Yeah, it's as if decades of inner work can now kind of compress and manifest in just months. Imagine it less like a flat circle that just repeats, and more like the Earth's helicoidal movement that's described in sacred geometry.
Helicoidal movement. Okay, break that down a bit.
For sure. It's basically the study of the geometric patterns in nature and the universe. And here it describes a spiral-like motion always evolving upwards or outwards.
Oh.
Think of it like a spring, maybe, or throwing a stone in a lake, that ripple effect, always moving forward even as it cycles. Everything, a thought, a life, a cosmic age, has a beginning, middle, end. And we are apparently on the final arc of a very significant turn.
That spring analogy really helps visualize it, moving forward, not just round and round. Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting for me. The sources bring in a scientific correlation. They mention a report suggesting the Earth's core actually decreased in size between 2017 and 2021. And there's a hypothesis, important word here, hypothesis that it might have stopped and its axis inverted.
Wow.
Now, again, the sources are linking this scientific idea, not claiming direct proof. But the timing is just compelling, isn't it? The suggested planetary shift aligning so closely with this period of intense inner processing for people.
It really is. It implies this deep inherent connection between us and the planet. The message that comes through loud and clear is, the planet is ready, you just need to finish your process.
So the Earth's done its part, in a way.
That's the idea. It suggests we humans are like a small universe within the larger one, also going through our own internal kind of helicoidal evolution of the soul. We're seeking to reconnect with what the sources call a lost link to our true selves.
A lost link.
Yeah, a connection maybe obscured by past experiences, retrograde events, they call them, things that pulled us off our path. It's like the Earth has set the stage energetically, and now it's our turn to catch up internally.
Okay, that leads us right into the personal impact then. The messages seem to be calling for a true awakening, something that really requires us to turn inward, to build a genuine bond with who lives inside. And it asks a very direct question of you, the listener. Are you truly perceiving who you are, or what you really want deep down, beyond what society tells you?
And that question connects to another challenging one the sources bring up from their guidance work. What do you love to do?
Simple question, but...
But apparently it's striking how many people just don't know the answer, or they haven't allowed themselves to know, and this isn't trivial, the source's stress. It points to something vital. They encourage you to really dig deep. What makes your heart genuinely smile? What activity connects you to something bigger? Because that, they say, is your divine purpose. It's about finding that inner spark, not just external achievements.
Right. And because this digging can be intense, a lot of people felt quite vulnerable when these messages first came out. They described feeling fragile, maybe unprotected. What's the deeper insight there for someone feeling that way?
The core insight, the really profound part, is that feeling unified with the divine means realizing you are never actually alone. That fragility often comes from a feeling of disconnection.
The perception.
Exactly. But the sources emphasize you've only gotten this far because you've always been supported, even when you weren't aware of it. It's about remembering that inherent, unbreakable connection.
And linked to this feeling of fragility, the sources really tackle the concept of victimhood. They strongly advise removing phrases like, oh, that person made me feel this way, or if only I had had that, I wouldn't be like this. Why is dropping that mindset so critical right now at this cycle-ending time?
Because, as the sources explain it, that victim mindset fosters immense fragility. It actively disconnects you from taking personal responsibility for your experiences, for your choices.
It keeps you stuck.
Totally stuck. In a time of huge potential shift, holding on to victimhood is like trying to sail forward with an anchor down. It keeps you feeling powerless. When you acknowledge your agency, not blame, but your role in how you experience things, you reclaim your power. You shift from things happen to me to I am actively co-creating my reality.
Okay, so if we're letting go of victimhood, what's the alternative? How do we find genuine resilience, genuine protection? What is this internal reference they talk about?
The sources suggest that real, lasting security comes from within, from developing an unwavering internal reference. For some, that might be connecting to universal consciousness. For others, maybe a specific spiritual guide.
Like the Archangel Michael example mentioned.
Exactly. The sources share one practitioner's deep connection there and their work with the Order of Michael, focusing on spiritual protection and discernment. But the point is finding your internal anchor, your unshakable core truth.
So it doesn't have to be a specific figure.
Not at all. What's fascinating is the underlying need for some kind of foundation. It could be genuine faith, a consistent spiritual practice, meditation, prayer. Think of someone like Saint Benedict, that level of inner devotion. It's about building that solid inner core that provides guidance and security no matter what's happening outside.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's clear up a potential misunderstanding that came from some early messages, this idea that maybe divine help would stop, that prayer would become pointless. The sources clarify that's absolutely not the case, right? We are supported.
Completely supported, yes.
Yeah.
Provided we're willing to engage. The sources explain it more like the guiding beings haven't vanished, they've just recoiled slightly.
Recoiled.
Yeah, like stepping back a bit, giving you space, allowing your rhythm, your choices to take the lead now. Divine intercession, in this view, isn't about magically changing your destiny or fulfilling a wish list.
Right.
It's described more as an impulse you might feel at a crossroads. Something that helps you access what's already inside your soul, aligning you with your soul's intended path. So prayer, in this energy, becomes more neutral.
Neutral prayer. Meaning
not a list of demands, like a shopping list for the universe, but more an opening. An openness to receive guidance, to align with your true purpose, to understand what your soul actually needs for its journey.
That's a really helpful clarification. Okay, this leads us nicely into another complex but absolutely vital topic. The death of the ego.
Ah, yes, that one causes some confusion.
Definitely sounds dramatic, but the sources help us differentiate, don't they? Between the ego, our personality, our sense of self in the world, and the superior self, which they equate with the soul. How do they describe the soul's role here?
The soul, as these sources frame it, is our purest, most positive influence. It's the source of our strength, the stimulus for our evolution. And crucially, it holds all our records, past, present, future potential, because it's atemporal. It exists outside linear time.
Wow.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources point out a cultural contrast, like the Western focus often being heavily on having, accumulating things, status in their terms,
Right.
versus, say, an Eastern balance that values both having and being, just existing authentically. Living purely in the ego, disconnected from that soul-level being, leads down what they vividly call the path of stones.
The path of stones.
Yeah, a journey filled with unnecessary difficulties, scarcity, struggle, that feeling of being cut off from your real potential. Everything just feels harder than it needs to be.
So death of the ego isn't about destroying your personality. That's a relief.
Not at all. It simply means letting go of the ego's domination, allowing the soul, your superior self, to actually guide you towards a lighter, easier, more flowing path. It's about noticing when the ego's fear or desire is driving the bus and consciously choosing to let your soul dictate the way.
That makes much more sense. Let's look at some real-world examples then, because the source material shares some compelling ones from their guidance practice. They talk about people in deep existential crises, feeling like they just didn't want to be that person anymore. And interestingly, these weren't necessarily people struggling externally. Some had, quote, fantastic financial conditions, but felt utterly suffocated.
Exactly. That feeling of suffocation is key. The sources tell this one striking story of an individual. Outward success, everything looked great, but inside, just this huge emptiness.
Right.
They were encouraged to take a sabbatical, specifically a year in the East, in India. And this person came back, the sources say, just another person, completely self-realized, now doing work they genuinely love.
Wow. That's quite a transformation.
It really illustrates that shift from what the sources call an amortized ego. You know, an ego that had gotten comfortable, thought everything's fine because the material boxes were ticked to a state of deep inner connection and purpose. They shed that old skin of just having to fully embrace being.
It really highlights that phrase you mentioned, having, too much having and nothing of being.
Precisely.
Whereas the being state, that sounds like where you find real satisfaction, connection, and inner joy. That feeling of being in the right place, doing what you were actually born to do.
Yeah.
Finding your resonance.
Exactly that. In this individual transformation, it connects directly back to the larger planetary shift the messages talk about.
How so?
The sources explain that after this period of intense personal transformation, the Earth itself is seen as moving into the fifth dimension, and logically, its inhabitants will follow. This emerging new Earth will need workers of light, as they put it.
Workers of light.
People who've done this inner work, who are aligned with their soul, to help reconstruct, guide, and support the human collective through this shift. It signals a true moment of illumination, a potential for widespread awakening. It's basically a call for conscious participation in the planet's own evolution.
Okay, so this sounds huge, potentially overwhelming. How do we apply this practically? The sources emphasize this is a unique chance to illuminate our inner self.
Yeah.
Right? To find that dormant inner will that maybe we've ignored for ages.
Yes, and crucially, we're not doing it alone in a vacuum. External energies are actively supporting this process right now.
What kind of energies?
The sources mention several things, specific astrological alignments, phenomena like photon belt projections, monastic energy, even the Earth's own heartbeat, the Schumann resonance.
The Schumann resonance, I've heard of that.
Right, it's the planet's natural frequency. The point is, these aren't just abstract ideas. The sources suggest these forces are tangibly helping, like a cosmic tailwind, facilitating a kind of crystallization within our bodies, deepening our understanding, making this inner illumination more accessible than perhaps ever before.
Okay, so the conditions are ripe. What's a tangible step someone can take? The sources suggest a divine reconnection prayer. You mentioned it's available on Instagram, maybe Telegram, and YouTube soon.
That's right.
The practice itself sounds incredibly simple. Just saying, good morning, divinity that inhabits my being each day. How can something so simple be so powerful for this deep reconnection?
Well, this brings up a really important point about the power of intention right now. The sources state something fascinating. While thought and speech used to be the primary drivers of manifestation, now intention is changing your reality in the exact moment of the intention.
Wow, instantly.
That's the idea. So a simple phrase like that, spoken with clear, heartfelt intention, becomes incredibly potent. The higher your personal energy vibration, the faster that intention manifests. This daily practice is a way to consciously remember and reconnect with your superior self, your soul.
Which the sources call our primary mentor.
Exactly. The perfect whole aspect of who you truly are. It acknowledges that, yeah, past experiences might have kind of dimmed our ability to intuit, feel, perceive, be sensitive to that inner guidance.
So making that inner divinity, that superior self, our main point of contact that leads to the easier, less painful, lighter journey they describe, resulting in real peace,
That's the promise. It sounds much better than constantly, hitting your head against the wall, as the sources put it.
Definitely sounds preferable.
It's about choosing to flow with the current of your soul rather than fighting against it with the ego. That struggle is often the ego's way, but the soul's path is meant to be one of more grace and synchronicity.
And importantly, for those who maybe don't resonate with formal prayers or affirmations, the sources offer alternatives, right?
Absolutely. Equally powerful practices like spending quiet time in nature, or simply engaging in any activity that brings you genuine moments of plenitude, real joy, that feeling of being fully alive.
Like painting or music or whatever it is for you.
Exactly. Those two are described as valid, effective ways to open that deep dialogue with your divine self. The key is finding what truly makes your spirit light up, what connects you to that deeper part of yourself.
Okay. As we bring this deep dive to a close, it feels like we've covered a huge amount of ground today.
We really have.
From understanding these vast cosmic cycles and planetary shifts, down to the really intricate dance of the ego and the soul within each of us. And most importantly, this profound opportunity for personal transformation that's apparently available right now.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating, I think, is that this isn't just information to passively absorb. It's really an active invitation, isn't it?
An invitation to
participate. This is presented as a pivotal time for self-discovery, for remembering your true potential, and for actively choosing to take part in this grand unfolding, to illuminate your own inner self, preparing for a different way of being.
So our final thought for you, the listener, the carry forward is this. In light of everything we've explored today, how will you choose to illuminate your inner self? How might you embrace your divine purpose, whatever that means for you, and contribute to this evolving world? Maybe just think about one small intentional step you could take today, just one thing to align a little more closely with your true being and perhaps step onto that potentially later path.
A beautiful thought to end on.
We wish you an excellent week filled with peace, insight, and continued discovery.